Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Team Adventurous. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. How's your mama? I know she was struggling with that thing. She ever get that resolved? And how's your ankle? I heard you sprained it. You good, bro? Yo, we care. I just want you to know that. Nothing but love.
We love you.
No, what's up, everyone? Yo, so just like we love 40K shit, I specifically love SCP shit, and Kate is interested but hasn't really like dug into it nearly as much as the 40K stuff.
Yes, but I am very curious.
So I just put SCP into YouTube search. I've never seen this channel before. This is a new upload, so we're gonna and I don't think I've read this SCP on the site either. And just really quick for those of you who are finding out about this because you're on our channel and you clicked a video that you know nothing about. Well, first of all, thank you very much. Second of all, so Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation, and the entire premises, this is a forum website where people are free to contribute. You make an account and submit articles. They have to be formatted and written. There's content guidelines because they curate the site. But basically, it's a crowdsourced fandom base. I mean, think about if Warhammer 40K was crowdsourced, except the premise is a little bit different. So in this premise, they basically like mixed the FBI, the CIA, and like every paranormal and supernatural investigations agency from every fictional work you've seen, smushed them all together and created the Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation. And all of the articles on the site are about different shit that they contain and different events that have happened with this foundation. It's a really dope fandom. There's a lot of interesting shit, and I highly recommend you checking out. You could literally spend days on that site just reading shit and not get bored. So that people obviously also YouTube content about it. We're gonna dive head first. Let's go.
All is quiet at the facility where SCP-1027 floats in its containment chamber. The SCP does not seem to react as a guard opens the door to its room. The agent gropes for the light switch. He is new to the SCP Foundation.
Gropes.
And working on his own. Harsh fluorescent light fills the room. The guard lets out a yelp when he sees SCP-1027 for the first time. Unable to control his curiosity, the guard approaches the containment chamber. SCP-1027 looks like a human nervous system that has been extracted from its body.
Yo, that's a dope and terrifying premise.
The brain, eyes, and connected nerves are all exposed, as if some mad doctor perfectly dissected a human.
Yo, perfect dissection.
SCP-1027 does not move. Gross, the guard thinks, as he taps on the glass casing with his rifle. He jumps back slightly in surprise. It seemed as if the eyeball had twitched slightly to look at him. So creepy, the guard says out loud. He turns around to exit the room. As he approaches the door, the lights flicker. He begins to walk a little quicker. Suddenly, the lights go out completely, plunging the room into darkness.
Oh, fuck, he's dead.
A moment later,
Yep.
the fluorescence resumes as the lights come back to life. The guard slowly pivots to look at the containment chamber. SCP-1027 still floats motionless in its saline solution. The guard sighs and chuckles to himself for getting spooked. He turns and walks out of the room, closing the door behind him. He makes it a few steps down the hallway before stopping. The guard smacks his forehead with the palm of his hand. I forgot to turn off the damn light, he says. He heads back to the room SCP-1027 and out to grab the doorknob. It is warm to the
You gon' die.
opens it and pushes the door open. A scream gets caught in his throat, and only a slight wheeze escapes his lungs. Standing in front of him is SCP-1027. The nervous system seems to pulsate as it reaches its arms out towards the guard, who is paralyzed with fear. The guard feels a slight twinge in his ear as a series of nerves enter his auditory canal. Then he hears a voice inside of his head. It's his own voice, and it's telling him to escape his body. The next morning, SCP agents and scientists return to the site for another day's work. One scientist is surprised to find the door to SCP-1027's room wide open. He steps in and looks around. SCP-1027 floats motionless inside of its saline containment chamber. The scientist shrugs, turns off the light, and closes the door. Later that day, a feeding team enters SCP-1027's room, pushing a cart with a brain of a cow on top of it. The 3 members of the group—
That was a wheelbarrow, not a cart. I feel lied to.
—are wearing bioprotective equipment. They enter the room and secure the door behind them. One of the men walks over to the containment chamber and pushes a few buttons. As the liquid in the tube slowly begins to drain, SCP-1027 drops down into a laying position on the examination table below it. When the water is completely gone, the glass tube hisses open. A moment later, SCP-1027 sits up. It looks about the room with its exposed eyeballs. Its nerves wriggle like tiny worms as they sense the world around them. SCP-1027 rotates its body so it's sitting with its legs over the side of the table.
A very dapper nervous system it is.
The feeding team tries to remain calm, but seeing its nervous system move without an actual body is a bit disconcerting, to say the least.
No, that shit happens every day. What's wrong with them?
Perfectly normal.
No.
It was able to survive without the protective casing of muscles and skin, because each nerve cell is surrounded by myelin sheathing 300 times thicker than that of normal human cells. The SCP slowly slides off the table and proceeds towards the cow brain that has been placed in the middle of the room. The feeding team backs as far away from the SCP as possible until their bodies are pressed up against the wall. SCP researchers told them that the containment suits would protect them from 1027, but these same researchers have been wrong before.
That is literally like calling a gentle summer breeze. That's like saying, hey man, that gentle summer breeze, it's not gonna kill you. And there's literally a fucking tornado behind the guy saying that. It's literally like that. Come on, man. I just need you to go to the store. Fucking 3 miles that way. There's a tornado behind you. Gentle summer breeze never killed anyone.
It's like, oh no, what lovely weather we're having.
Stop being a pussy.
That's nothing.
I used to walk to the store fucking with like 8 of those and pouring rain and lightning striking me every 2 minutes. You're being a bitch.
Oh my god, is that like the updated version of when you ask your parents for money and they're like, oh, you know, I used to have to walk to the store and like 8 feet of snow and no shoes both ways.
A bear would pop out of the woods and chase me. I had to defend myself with a branch. It wasn't like a thick, sturdy branch either. It was like a little twiggy branch. I had to aim perfectly and get it right in the eye.
SCP-1027 stands next to the cow brain and looks down. Normally at this point, SCP-1027 would extend its nerves and wrap them around the bovine brain. There would be a slight pulsing, and the brain would begin to denature. It is still unclear if SCP-1027 consumes the actual brain matter, or just feeds on the residual chemical energy that resides in the tissue. The feeding team carries out this procedure once a week, which seems to keep SCP-1027 happy. But this time, SCP-1027 just stares at the brain, as if it is contemplating whether it is worth eating. It is almost as if SCP-1027 isn't hungry, as if it has already eaten.
Dun, dun, dun!
He knows that's crazy, as they are the only ones who feed this SCP, and it has been exactly a week since its previous meal.
Like,
the feeding team turn their heads to look at one
exactly
another,
a week to the minute.
Suits. One of the men shrugs as they all turn back to watch what SCP-1027 does next. The SCP lifts its head so that its eyes are looking straight at the feeding team. One of the members reaches behind him, searching for the doorknob. Then SCP-1027 slowly turns around and walks back towards the table. It lays down and goes still. Someone needs to lock it back in its containment chamber, one of the men says. Well, that's Jerry's job, responds another as he pushes the man next to him towards where SCP-1027 is laying. Right, fine, I'll do it. But if that thing eats me and turns me into an SCP, you two will be the first people I go after.
Facts.
Jerry walks slowly towards the containment chamber. He stretches his arm as far as
Dude, just lock up the SCP. Pussy if you don't.
Right.
to keep as much distance as possible between his body and SCP-1027. Jerry pushes
This animation.
This is close. The containment chamber fills with saline water, and SCP-1027 is once again suspended in the liquid-filled tube. The research team grabs the cart with the cow brain on it and rushes out of the room, slamming the door behind them. They inform the head of the facility of the odd behavior SCP-1027 had exhibited, but he is a busy man and shrugs it off as just an anomaly.
Fool!
It'll eat when it's hungry enough. Give it a week and then try again, the facility commander tells them. The feeding team walks silently down the hall to the decontamination room, where they will take off their suits and shower as a precaution to prevent the spread of any foreign agents. The peculiar behavior of SCP-1027 lingers in their minds. They enter the room and begin to ease their nerves. This makes
to ease their nerves.
To worry about SCP-1027 now that it is safely contained in its chamber once again. They turn the shower heads on and steam slowly fills the room. I might call out sick next week just to be safe. That SCP is going to be really hungry after missing its meal this week, and I don't want to become a snack, one of the men says as he scrubs his body. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, responds Jerry. Who knows what the creepy thing will do if it ever gets out of its containment chamber? Maybe it'll eat our brains. Although there wouldn't be much to eat in your case, Bob. To his teammate. The whole team laughs as the room continues to fill with steam. Jerry's smile slowly fades as he feels something tickle his ear. He uses his hand to brush whatever it was away, but the sensation comes back. Jerry washes the soap in his face and turns around. All he can see is steam. Hey, you guys, stop messing around, Jerry yells. What are you talking about, Jerry? One of the other members of the team asks. Jerry sees the steam move directly in front of him. He rubs his eyes to help him focus through the moisture. When he takes his hands away, an instance of SCP-1027 is standing directly in front of him. He is staring straight into the eyeballs of the nervous system of the guard who had entered SCP-1027's room the previous night. What the? But before Jerry can finish his sentence, the instance of SCP-1027 shoves its nerves down Jerry's throat, silencing his voice.
Nice and gay-like.
Yep.
Then sticks the nerves of its hand into Jerry's ear. The SCP-1027 instance feels around in Jerry's head until it locates the part of the brain it is looking for and connects to it. Jerry's brain is flooded with dopamine, and chemical signals are transferred from the SCP-1027 instance directly into its victim's brain. Jerry's nervous system now wants to break free of the flesh casing that contains it. Jerry, you okay over there? Asks Bob. You've gone, kind of quiet. But there is no response. Jerry's nervous system moves his body towards one of the shower knobs and turns the hot water on full blast. It's hoping that if the water is hot enough, it will scald the skin and muscle tissue, making it easier to remove from the body. Jerry? The other team member says. Suddenly the steam shifts, and the SCP-1027 instance is standing in the middle of the shower room. The remaining members of the feeding team scream in horror. They try to escape, but slip on the wet shower floor.
Oh no!
Oh man, I'm just picturing this in my head. Oh man, it's like if horror and slapstick comedy had a baby.
SCP-1027 slowly
Yes.
them with its nerves outstretched.
Wiggle,
The
wiggle,
echoing
wiggle,
shouts
wiggle,
from the
wiggle, yeah.
feeding team are moving.
Wiggle.
A series of nerves enter their bodies. The day
Nice
continues
and
on the
gay-like.
SCP side
Yep.
as if everything was normal.
Like,
Agents are debriefed on previous missions. Scientists experiment on different SCPs. And
agents are
administrators meet and plan
debriefed
their
on previous missions.
What was that?
They debrief them.
Yeah.
Like it's double entendre.
sun begins to set and people is quiet that night as a new security guard makes his rounds. The guard that the administrator of the facility had just hired disappeared without a trace the night before. His disappearance was chalked up to nerves and being too scared to return to work. The new guard checks each room to make sure everything is secure. He approaches the room that contains SCP-1027.
Frankly, the security at this site is very lax.
Mm-hmm.
He opens the door, flicks on the light, and looks at the SCP floating in its containment tube. Gross, the guard says out loud. He flicks off the light and continues his rounds. Near the far part of the hallway, the door to the decontamination room is slightly ajar. The guard approaches.
It's not ajar, it's a door.
I thought it was a door. Yeah.
He then pushes it open with his nightstick. He takes one step into the darkness and feels the wall for the light switch. He turns the lights on. There is nothing but a wet floor. The guard shrugs and turns off the lights. He walks through the doorway. As he steps back into the hallway, he is greeted by 4 instances of
yeah.
The guard opens his mouth to scream as the nervous systems reach out their tendrils and plunge them into his
Their
ears.
tendrils. Oh, nice and
Watch
gay,
SCP
like.
1548, the star of the hateful SCP animation. Or check out SCP-001
Okay.
Children or Borocycle.
All right, thoughts, Caitlin?
Well, it is apparent that this, you call this secure,
Contain, protect.
contain, protect, obviously has no idea how to do any of those things.
It's kind of a running joke in the community. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because, okay, in facilities like this, just as a matter of course, they would have the lights on an automatic timer.
Motion detectors, yeah.
Yeah, to be like, okay, the door opens, so the light automatically comes on.
Yeah, it's like there's so many things wrong. There's so many things wrong with it. The guards would be required to check in and out of the facility, so they'd know he never left. There would be cameras in every room. Literally every inch of that facility would have cameras pointing at it. There's so much wrong with that particular SCP story, but I don't know if that's canon, and to be canon it just has to be accepted on the site, or if it's like a fan story that someone wrote and it's not canon to the SCP. I don't know.
I mean, and if anything,
let's go back here and see if it says anything about that in the description.
Yeah, but if anything, it could have been one of those things where it was like, oh, well, it was when, this place first got started, so they didn't have the funding to get all of the bureaucratic red tape cut they needed to have all the necessary things that they needed. So, that's why they had a lackadaisical, apathetic boss who was like, oh, well, it's okay. We're not going to look into the fact that it's not hungry and we have people missing, because that's a logical thing that you do when you work in a facility that houses monsters.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So it looks like this is non-canon. I think this is a fan written story and animation. By reading the description, that's the vibe I'm getting. And yeah, like I said, that makes perfect sense, because I mean, if you actually go and read the articles on the Foundation website, dude, oh my god, some of the fucking security measures for some of the SCPs it's like overkill. It's like, these are the security measures you would use to like try to contain the Incredible Hulk, if the Incredible Hulk was also like a psychic ghost. Like, their insane level containment for some SCP.
That would make sense, that there would be an insane amount of containment for something like that. Because, I mean, well, humans like to overcompensate when they're really scared of shit. So that would make perfect sense. And, if they were able to actually contain such creatures, it would really be like that.
So yeah, man, if you're already an SCP fan, tell us if there's an SCP you want us to react to. We'll even read the article and give our thoughts on it live if you want.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just
them.
Give us SCPs you want us to talk about down in the description. If you're new to SCPs, check it out. Look into it. YouTube it a little bit. See what's up. And just so you guys know, I'm going to share with you really quick my favorite SCP creator. This guy's channel, I'm actually going to sub to him here on this on our alternate channel. This guy is great. He's my favorite SCP creator. He does a lot of good content, and he offers a little bit of commentary every now and then on what he's actually, and basically what he's doing is just reading the articles from the website, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great. So
well, I would have to check him out.
Yeah. All right. This has been Team Adventurous. Let us know if there's any SCPs you want us to talk about down in the description. I don't know what I'm doing.